Episode 4 with Shalini Khanna, Suman versus Human. If you are given full powers to change something in this country, what that would be?
Please give me those powers. I am going to make it. By the way, I must share that today I take over as the chairperson for Skill Council for PWD.
Good evening, Shalini ji. A warm welcome to my show, Suman versus Human. Today I'm so excited to talk to you, Shalini ji, because you're not just a normal person. You are an extraordinary person because not just empowering the women of this country, you're also making them very secure because your contributions to the society was remarkable. So let's know more details about all the work you are doing for the community right here. Let us know how all this started from the beginning.
Thank you, Suman. And it's such a pleasure to be on your show. I have been listening to some podcasts of yours, and it's totally sheer my pleasure to be here and to talk to you. Um, Thank you for acknowledging the work of blind women empowerment that I have done for the last 21 years. And I have been the founder director of Center for Blind Women under National Association for the Blind India. So I started this center in 2002. And not many people know that this was started actually as a result of the findings of a study called Status of Blind Women in India. And that study was by Asian Blind Union. So they had offered me this study because I my background is market research. So in year 1998, when I was already a freelancer of market research, and I had done my master's in industrial relations and personnel management, and I was still kind of wondering, which HR to join and whether to go to corporate or not. Corporate was very new at that time in India. My friend took me to the NAB School of Delhi, Arkipuram. And that's where I started volunteering with a lot of students. And that is what was my gateway to this beautiful creative field. My whole image about blind people was totally shattered there. I was scared, I was nervous because I had never really been with any blind person in my life, not with any student. Such an unfortunate past of the schools of India where inclusion was not even heard of. And when I started interacting with these students who were going to mainstream schools around as an integration practice, I rediscovered myself and I enjoyed thoroughly this side of life, the life of purpose. I would say. And I became their student welfare in charge after some months because I wanted to bring reforms into the hostel. I felt that the students in the hostel were at a little disadvantage because though they went to amazing, beautiful mainstream schooling, but when they came back because of being an NGO, and very limited resources, there were hardly, 13 caretakers in the hostel taking care of 170 kids, their food, their stay, their cleanliness, everything. So there was a lot of, discord between students and the caretakers. And that's where I decided I want to start working here and bring my HR knowledge here. And for 4 years, I kept working there. Uh, I loved bringing reforms in the hostel, and I got to know so much about the life of blind children and how bright they were, but how disadvantaged they were.
Now, You said you have done courses related to industrial management, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, what made you to look forward to help this blind community? Because
Mm,
you can opt a very luxurious corporate life,
I
because
know.
the kind of education you have done is
Hmm.
more into that.
Absolutely, Suman. So I told you that I was already a freelancer in market research in 98. I happened to join market research in year 1993 after immediately after my graduation. And then I came back to study more in 96. So by that time I had already become a freelancer. My financial side was taken care of to quite a large extent. But somehow, I would say this was my soul path, something like that. I always say my karma brought me here, that I was looking for somewhere a life of purpose. And when I saw that I was needed in this school, it's not that of course, I would not be able to earn from there, but I was really needed there. There were not many people who were ready to do that, bring the reforms to the hostel or bring quality of life to these blind students. Every day of my life there was so rewarding. And when I did this research for Asian Blind Union in status of blind women in India, what I saw in India was so bad. The status of blind women was so dismal. I can't tell you. It really encouraged me to kind of think ahead in the same line. So, but what we saw there, Suman, was atrocious. We saw blind women being married with a sighted sister to the same man in many regions in India. We saw how even the immediate neighbors would not know that there is a blind girl in the next door house, because people would think this is a stigma, having a girl child and that too blind. We saw, I heard of disabled children being thrown off into rivers to make bridges stronger. And that was so alarming. When I presented the study to National Association for the Blind India, everybody was alarmed and very, very concerned. And they felt that there is a huge requirement to start a center for blind women now, where the vision would be to empower educated and uneducated, both blind girls. Because after schooling, there was no path at all at that time for blind girls in year 2000. The parents would not feel that the girls are safe if they send them out. So when they offered me to start this center here in Hoskars Enclave in New Delhi, they had been donated a bungalow here. Though there was no precedent to follow. So I was completely standing at a road which was not traveled at all. I was not sure where would I go, and I had to fight with my family. But somewhere I was sure inside that this is a path I would like to choose, because there is nobody who has done this, and I would love to, you know, make it a career in the future for people.
We cannot just applaud for this work. In fact, I have to salute you. My entire team
Thanks so much.
is saluting you for the work you have done before and also doing now. You mentioned a very sad story now. You told
Yeah.
that blind girls were getting married to her sister's husband. So,
Yes.
was this things really happen?
Absolutely. In whole of Haryana, this was the way.
Oh my
And
God.
you know how we got to know? So we were going in the research in a snowball approach, and somebody had led us to a house in a village close to Faridabad. And when we reached the house in the village, we were knocking the door, nobody was opening, and the neighbors told us, just enter. So we were wondering, how could you just enter a house? And we pushed the door. There were those huge ancient doors, and we pushed it open. It opened ajar, and I went inside. There was a little veranda. Nobody was there. Then I crossed that, and then I entered a bedroom where this blind woman was sitting on a bed. And I asked her then some questions, and she told me that this is a norm because the parents didn't know what to do with these women. They had not got them educated. They didn't know where to send them for education. And safety was, of course, a big, big problem. And I said, "So where are people?" She said, "My sister and my brother in law have gone to the field. They are farmers." I said, "So, it was about 3 o'clock. I said, "Have you had lunch?" She said, "I eat in the morning and then they go out. And I can't cook. I can't lift even I don't know where to go. I can't even make a cup of tea for myself. So when they come back now in the evening, that is when they're going to give me food." It stands so vivid in my memory even after 20 years that that was happening. And then we met more people in Haryana. So we were doing this in so many states in India. Every state had a different stigma onto it. Every state had, some had desexualized the blind women, some had thought that they are of no use, some had thought they are a bad omen, some had thought that they are a black spot on their karmas. What all do I tell you? But yes, I'm glad to share this.
You guys made them independent because those days before your
Yes,
organization,
yes,
I'm pretty sure that not not even a single organization were actually looking for give them skills and to train them to become independent.
absolutely. See, actually, at that time, NAB had a lot of branches in India. And when NAB realized that they don't have a service which is dedicated to blind women, we were not expecting any other organization to have done that till now. And they were very clear that they had to do something for both educated and uneducated blind women. I mean, there are several stories, Suman, that I can share. Of course, there were
Please,
educated
please.
girls. There were girls who had done their schooling from Delhi only, and they had gone back to villages in UP. But in a village, I remember this blind girl was the only girl who had gone to school for 12 years. She had completed her 12th in a whole village of uneducated people. And now she was sitting back again in her household doing nothing. She said, "Now my father doesn't know what to do with me and my education." And she used to pass her time, she used to read her old school books again all the time, the Braille books. There was, like, the father didn't know that she could do anything else, whom to marry her to, what to do with her. Can you imagine? What a din, what darkness.
Yeah.
It was actually, she was feeling even worse having been educated and now not being able to use the education. So we knew that we have to open doors further for educated and uneducated blind women both.
Training them, empowering them is one step. Now, the other big challenge is getting them accepted in the society. That's it. I think that's the most difficult thing
Oh
because
yeah, sure.
because uh, not not everyone are ready to take them into their lives or their organizations or whatever you call them. I want to know more about it.
So when we started this, we didn't know how to go about it, where to get these girls from, who are the girls who need our help and whatnot. We started with some volunteers because we didn't have much money. And those volunteers, after some months, just went away saying, "What are you going to do with them if you're trying to teach them English and grooming and whatnot?" And that broke my heart at that time, that the society does not see any light at the end of this tunnel. But somehow we started computer trainings in the year 2002 for the blind girls, 2003. 2002 October, we got this premise. And then we also opened the handicraft training for the uneducated girls. And I remember that after a year, my handicraft girls, we were ready. I mean, they were very good in doing what they were doing. And we approached an export house that, "Why don't you take these girls onto the job in a factory?" That export house, which used to take more than 200 disabled people on work. And they were flabbergasted. They said, "We have never thought of having blind women here. We have some blind boys, but blind girls, who's going to take care of their security?" At that time, I used to find this barrier hugely everywhere. Nobody was ready to take them on jobs because everybody felt that it is very risky. Who's going to take care of their safety? What if something happens on the road? We are going to be responsible. And we started taking responsibility. We started teaching the blind girls self defense, mobility. Mobility was most underrated training, I feel, till date for blind women. Nobody thinks that, blind girls have not been allowed to go out of the four walls of either the house or the school for 12 years. Nobody allows them to go on their own on the road. How are they going to learn? And then, if they don't learn mobility, how are they going to go for further education or jobs? So, that was a Herculean task to, teach them mobility on the road of public places at the age of 20 or something. And then convince the employers that they are ready to work and you don't run risks. And then the next challenge was once they started working, they had a job on their hand, they were earning. Now what? I really wanted them to have the same quality of life that I was leading, have a home,
Yes. Yes.
enjoy life, have more quality to life than just a job and a roof over their head. So I started feeling they should get married, perhaps. But who was there to get married? I mean, you won't see many couples dating 20 years back where a blind man was marrying a blind girl, Suman.
Yes.
I can say this with a lot of conviction because I really, really struggled at that time. The blind guys would all want to get married to sighted girls, thanks to all the poverty in our country. You know, because
100% true.
people would marry off their very poor girls to this working blind guy because anyway he's getting her food and shelter.
And that
And
girl
that's
is
when I
getting married to
realized
him for better life.
absolutely, absolutely.
There is
And
nothing called love here.
absolutely, there's nothing called companionship here.
Yes.
And I first time realized that in India, marriage is also a way of rehabilitation for a woman. I was shocked with that. I was not married. I didn't have time to marry for many years. And I really had to work hard. I remember on so many forums, I used to talk loud on top of my voice. Why are blind guys not getting married to blind girls? And the answers I was getting was, how is one blind person going to manage the home with another blind person? The parents were so concerned. And by default, the first day of the center, I had started getting them trained in cooking because I had seen that blind woman sitting on the bed, not being able to make her cup of tea. And I had made kind of a determination that every girl is going to learn cooking. And it was not easy to convince even the blind girls themselves to learn cooking because, they were so scared of knife and fire. They were never taught. The parents were so scared to teach them. Initially, the girls used to drop out of the center because they used to feel this is too much work. They were not used to it. A lot of blind students were not used to any work. In fact, they were given food on the table and the plates were taken away from the table from them in the hostels. So it took me time to convince them and to stay on my decided path. And that's when we could convince a lot of blind boys and their parents that my girls can manage the kitchen and can go to work also and can come back and take care of home. Now you tell me, what can you contribute? And it took some time, but I'm proud of this country's blind boys also today. That a lot of them listened and they started coming here to see for themselves really, whether they can manage homes. And today I am at a scenario where I have to stop the blind girls from marriage to say, listen, first you stand on your own feet. First be self dependent. Please don't get married before getting a job in your hand. You must have some financial independence.
I'm very
Yeah.
curious now because you spoke about blind boys getting married to blind women. Now,
Girls, yeah.
why not a sighted guy, sighted boy
For a blind
marry
girl,
a
na?
blind girl? This
I
this
know,
always
Suman.
bothers me, Shalini ji. I
That's my
want to,
next vision, I guess.
yeah, I want to hear
that's
more on this.
that's the next vision. यहाँ पर तो like not even the blind boys were getting married to blind girls. Where would I go and convince the sighted men? It was impossible at that time to even think of it. But I do see a future like that. That now there will be an open path The option should be open. It should not be a definition or a discrimination between blind and non-blind. You know, she's a woman. I have taken 21 years to make the blind woman feel that she's a woman, and to make the world see her as a woman first and then a blind woman.
Most of my listeners are sighted, mainstream, I
Mm-hmm,
could say. So
mm-hmm,
now they have lot of, you know, confusions on
mm-hmm,
their minds, like
mm-hmm,
how a blind woman can be, or how a blind woman manages home if they get married to
mm-hmm,
someone like that. So we
mm-hmm.
need clarifications, Shalini.
Sure. Sure, Suman. Have you heard of Blind Bake, the garden cafe? It's been talked about a lot. There are YouTube channels on it.
Yes.
We run this cafe here, and it's run by blind women totally. If they can run a cafe, they can run a kitchen so smoothly. They run
Awesome.
a cafe where they bake, okay, where they you get tacos and you get pizzas and you get pastas and you get you name it, and we will present to you the best cake around. And it's all done by blind women to the precision that sighted can aspire to have. And I feel, I mean, we saw them in the kitchen and the stupendous work that they did in the kitchen. And then we decided to open their whole forte to the world. And now we are doing job mapping in five-star hotels, kitchens to
Oh,
place the
wow.
women there. Yes. So that is not a question mark anymore. How a blind woman is going to cook. She cooks everything. She can do everything. It's just that she works in a different manner. That's it. Then comes about managing the home. We teach them housekeeping. And there are so many blind women now who are running amazing homes and they work too. And just like, you know, I am married and I run a home, but because I'm working, I hire a maid, right, to do some help for me
Yes.
at home. Thankfully, in India, we still have this scope. So does a blind woman. She also hires a help, and she also requests the house help to kind of help her out with some things. It's absolutely the same way. It's just that her manners, her ways of doing things at home would be a little different. I would say her kitchen would look much better than mine. Every day, the salt and the pepper are going to be at the same place as she had kept the last day, so that she can find them easily. And she goes to the office in the morning by metro or by, you know, public transport. Or if she's earning well, she owns a car too, and she has a driver. I can give you empty number of examples of both kinds.
And
And
how
she
about
comes back
taking care
and,
of children?
yes, that's a good question. Initially, it requires some handling. They learn how to handle small kids, um, especially their health part and their, growth, uh, especially when they start walking around. Till the child is confined to bed, she can definitely take care. But when the child starts crawling around, she does take measures. So we, in fact, staged a play some days back on the same theme. How does she take care of a child? And there are so many noisy toys around, or she ties some, ghungru wala bangle or something onto the child's neck or wrist or feet. And she knows where the child is going. And she brings up the child maybe with a little help from her husband or from her mother in law or somebody or the other. But very, very nice surprise it is to see that nature is not discriminating. So the child, when he or she grows up with a blind mom, also learns that my mother can't really see, you know. And you will be very happy to see how children get sensitized from the beginning to be with a blind mom,
Yeah.
and they themselves help her to parent him or her. I have seen so many kids now of my own trained girls who are running homes and have children, two children, not even one.
And Shalini, how about you? Because you also mentioned companionship. Now, when a sighted male gets married
Mm,
to a blind female,
mm,
how good she can be a
mm.
good company.
See, companionship does not come from eyes, Suman. Companionship comes from the heart and the mind. You can, where you are able to talk to your companion, where you're able to enjoy the same things, and you learn to enjoy what she enjoys, and she learns to enjoy what you enjoy. So, companionship, I don't think that depends on organs and eyes. Um, if you really value companionship more than her sight. Earlier, I would always tell blind guys, are you marrying a sighted escort or you're really marrying? And so many times people would say, oh, she left me because, I was not enough for her. Of course, you're using her as sighted escort. Why would she be around with you for longer? But when people are companions with each other, they learn to accept their limitations and they also learn to acknowledge the specialities that the partner has, you know?
When you say that, it's nothing about organs, and it's nothing
Mm-hmm,
about your body
mm-hmm,
parts when it comes to
mm-hmm.
companionship, then why, again the same question, why a mainstream partner is not going for a sighted or any kind of
Absolutely.
disabled partner?
Suman, that is a utopia maybe I'm talking about. That is an ideal world I'm talking about. People are not able to yet come down or come up above from their very worldly ways of looking at others. We are still calculating people on the basis of the money that they earn. We're still calculating people on the basis of the cars that they own and the houses that they own. Most of us are not really looking for friends who can really be great friends, who can be companions, who can be company. But some of us are. It's not that the world is a totally dark place. Of course not. There are intellectuals, there are people who are who have a better emotional quotient now, and who are giving importance to such things and who are giving importance to companions.
Do you find any differences between, in this category, do you find any
Mhm.
differences between India and elsewhere in the world?
Abroad? Not really. I won't say that. I feel, in fact, if you ask me, I feel India is very enterprising. We have more options and um, roads less traveled than the other countries out of perhaps limitations. You know, I have seen a lot of couples where the women have lost sight after marriage. Retinitis pigmentosa comes anytime, after 18, 19. And I still, at any point in time, the center will have married girls also, who have children also, who have left children behind to be taken care of by their husbands while they are learning to cook now in a new manner, while they are still learning to walk around because they have gone blind. And I'm not saying all of them are happy stories. No. Many of them, many of them get left out by their husbands because now she can't see, and the husband feels that she can't really take care of home. But there are many who are still going back to their homes to take care. There are many. And I remember I had a student who was left by her husband after 1.5 years of marriage because she lost her eyesight. She was hardly 19, 20. Very beautiful girl. And she had, the whole family loses hope and they start feeling that now it's a dark future. She came here, started learning, and then got a job in a bank. And she actually found a sighted guy online and they got married. She went to Kerala all the way. If she listens to me, she would know I'm talking about her. And she's very happily married right now. So she can take care of kitchen. She's a good companion to him. And they talk to
She
each other
got
for
married to
months
a
together.
sighted guy after
Yes, totally
she
sighted.
became blind,
Lost
right?
sight. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
nice, great.
And this was her second marriage. So there are people who are thinking and feeling from their heart and mind and not just from their commercial mindset or their worldly mindset. But the number is very less, and we can just hope for more people. And I'm very sure this is going to happen. Looking at the bright girls that are coming out and those who are not themselves hidden, and they are so confident, I don't see why they should not be marrying sighted people or any other guys they like to.
In fact, you made them stand independent, you made them go to offices, you made them set up their families. Now, Another question I have is, how about domestic violence and
Mm,
sexual
mm,
harassment at work? Because you
mm.
are also helping this disabled women fight with these challenges.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I'll take one step at a time. Domestic violence definitely is there. Definitely. Um, where they're not valued or husbands abuse them, even the blind husbands. And they, um, in fact, have extramarital affairs, the husbands, and the girls are not able to do much. We try to help as much as possible when we get to know that there's something like that happening. Our girls, we prepare them. That is why I said we don't get them married before they're financially independent. Because I feel financial independence gives both individuals a very equal platform to live in. You know, it does not really hold the woman as an inferior, which it has for many, many years in the past in India. Somehow, financial independence for the woman, especially, has come out to be a fighting tool for herself, a survivor. And very thankfully, in the last 20 years, how many ever girls we've got married, none of them are suffering domestic violence. My only hope for them and my only message for them would be that they have to become financially independent and they have to know their rights, and then the fight becomes better. They are more confident to fight for their rights.
Sighted women generally, they are outspoken, they go to police station, but when it comes to disabled, they're not that open.
Absolutely. Those
Yeah.
women, even the sighted women who are working also, are not able to go to the police stations themselves and do this. No, not at all, because still, still the security from their own maternal homes is not so good. Nobody's giving them the psychological and emotional security that it's all right to leave your home. It's okay to come back. I am a member on Facebook on some forums of women, and I read these stories every day by sighted women. There are so many who still suffer, and I feel so sad about it. That if you continue to suffer emotionally and physically still, in spite of actually being earning yourself, what else is going to empower you? It is, I feel, it's the emotional backup. It's the backup of the parents who tell the daughters that I'm still there even when you get married. You're not going to leave this home forever. Of course, the disabled women who leave their homes in many cities and come to Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai to live here to survive. And there are some who definitely reach out to us and we help them file a complaint or fight back. But there are so many who still don't reach out. And I do hope that they start reaching out. They start reaching out and asking for help.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how do they reach you in case, like, if any disabled women needs your help?
Yeah. So in Delhi NCR, we have a team who is in touch with a lot in communities, is on a lot of WhatsApp groups, or they mobilize because they mobilize from even door to door. There are, you would not believe this, but there are pockets in Delhi where a lot of blind people couples live. So they try to live where most blind people are living if they are poor. Of course, if they are well off, then they are in many different societies. But mostly poor or low earning, low income generation families, they stay in pockets together. So we happen to get in touch with most of them around. Um, Otherwise, we do keep trying to reach out through some or the other events that we hold in communities so that most people can reach out to us. So I'm very open to understand what better ways we can reach out to them, and we would love to do it. But these days, phone, telephone, and internet has made it possible for a lot of girls to reach out to us. If the girls don't themselves reach out, their neighbors do, their some family members do, some guys who live around them they do. That's how the girls come to us. We always have a waiting list for admissions every 3 months or 4 months. So I guess they do get to know.
And how about dealing with sexual harassment?
So, sexual harassment at workplace, if we are talking about, in fact, I happen to be on posh panels of many corporates myself because they have to have an external member from an NGO who's working for women. Sexual harassment for women at workplace is not so rampant for blind women as yet. I haven't heard of many cases because just simply because there are very few blind women still working in the country. You know, even if I say 2,000, at least I have placed, or 3,000, what is that number in front of 15 lakh women? Nothing.
Nothing.
So I don't think there are many blind women working in workplaces. But there is sexual harassment happening in many hostels for sure. There are a lot of hostels which are not very safe, and the blind girls stay mainly for the greed of getting free stay and food. There are there are some hostels for sure, and sexual harassment happens there. We keep hearing, and that's a very sad fact.
How the legal system of the country is cooperating with the organizations like yours?
Now, after this new law, RPT, where we have some things which are more highlighted about the accessibility. I must say, accessibility is getting a lot of attention, though it's still we're there only maybe 20%, but it's still getting attention and things are getting you know addressed. But there are a lot of problems where I feel the legal framework still falls short. Like we keep facing a challenge where when we get a job for a blind girl, we need to get an accommodation for her nearby. And I'm not talking only of Delhi, I'm talking of all the cities around and even Bangalore. And there are no people who are ready to give them PG accommodation. My field person has to go door to door to request them to give them PG accommodations, and they don't get ready to give it to a blind girl. They feel it's unsafe or whatever. And that is a worst suffering I feel for them to feel so unaccepted. And we have earlier even for working women hostels we have seen that they get unaccepted, and we have fought cases and with we have written to disability commissioner, and he has been very helpful when they write back to organizations do respond. But what do you do of the society at large, the homes? Who do you fight with? I don't think there is any act where I can go back to the police and say, this home is saying a no to me for taking a PG accommodation of a blind girl. At organizational level, the legalities still work, but not in individual levels. And I do hope, that some legal channels do open for us to be able to complain and the society starts, if not cooperating, then the society has to be a little aware.
A peculiar question, Shalini ji. Um, how about if there is a disabled person, maybe a male or female, if in case they get arrested or they are put in
Uh-huh.
jails, like
Uh-huh.
how they are treated?
Absolutely. They do now. A lot of police personnel are getting awareness, at least about Delhi NCR, I can talk about, or Mumbai, because in fact, we are approached so many times by the women cell of the police stations nearby to give them the self defense trainings themselves. The police personnel come and teach the blind girls. So, and initially we were very apprehensive that how will they teach the blind girls? Have they ever worked with them? But when we saw the workshops, they had been sensitized, I guess. So, if they are becoming aware about the presence and existence of disabled people in the vicinities, they are definitely getting more aware about helping them out. And I feel the more disabled people are on the road, the more they are seen, the more they will be able to raise their voice, the more people will be aware about them. Initially, when I used to send the girls out for a walk in the morning, when I had started this center with the residential facility, my neighbors, some neighbors used to bring the girls by the hand saying, how rude of you. You have left them on the road alone. And they were going for a walk in the morning to practice their mobility. And I used to ask them, what do you do with your girls? You chain them in the balcony or something in the morning? And they used to gawk at me. But now, after so many years, when the residents have been able to see them, and we are by chance in a very posh locality in Delhi because the bungalow was donated. And they are all now very, very sensitized, and they themselves have asked the MCD to put up boards for the cars to go slow because the blind people might be walking around. And I've seen in the metro station close by, they really keep the paths absolutely clean and they keep announcing about them because they see the girls there, In the metro stations where they don't see any blind people, on the tactile path, you will suddenly see a whole barrack of even the CRPF personnel themselves. It'll be on the tactile path because they will feel, yahan to koi aa hi nahi raha hai. Nobody's coming here, big deal. So, yes, of course, it is their insensitivity and it's their mistake. But somewhere, we are also at mistake and the disabled people themselves also are at mistake. They must come out of homes. They must come out, travel in the public transport without a fear so that people know them, that they exist, and their needs then will be understood.
Shalini ji, now I am bringing a topic which is mind blowing, and only person like you can do this such kind of miracles. You are bringing lot of cancer awareness
Mm-hmm.
initiatives for people with
Mm-hmm.
disability, for people of disability, as well as to mainstream by people with
Yes.
disabilities, right? So please give me
Yeah,
more
so
details
this is an
about it.
initiative which has come from Germany, actually. I should thank Dr. Frank Hoffman who thought of this. Not many women know that many women have heard of mammography. But when you talk around to your friends, to your parents, to your neighbors, not even a single woman would have gone herself to get a mammography check. Now, if you don't go before the symptoms come, then you're late. When the symptoms come for the breast cancer, when you can feel the symptom, you're already in second or third stage. You're already running a risk for life and you will have to go through all the painful treatments. But somehow the women in India are so unaware about their own health, and there is no other channel apart from mammography where they can go and get a preventive breast check. Just to get a check whether there's something or not periodically. And very surprisingly, every woman will have a past history of a breast cancer survivor or a breast cancer victim in their family, either close or far family. But there will be somebody because India is home to most number of breast cancer cases in the world
Yes.
and the most number of deaths due to breast cancers, a cancer which is totally curable if found at the earliest stage. So, in Germany, some women would have come to Dr. Frank Hoffman saying that mammography is available only after 45, 50 years of age. So, where do I go at 30 years if I have had a family past of breast cancer? So, that's when he started thinking, and when he started checking himself, that why don't women do self breast checks? He realized that to focus so much on every inch or every centimeter of your body, you need to close your eyes after 5 minutes. You can't really focus without that. But sighted people lose that focus also very fast. You can't stay with eyes closed for too long. And that's when he thought, why not go to people who have been gifted with eyes closed? And that's when he approached a blind school in Berlin. And that's where the story started. And 5 years back, they approached India, us through some other doctors, how to go about it in India, because we have the most number of blind women and the most number of breast cancer victims here. So that's when we saw this technique the first time, and I was very happy to see that something like this can bring a paradigm shift in the lives of visually impaired women. They can be on the side of service givers and not just service takers.
Yes.
And we sent our team, trainers team to Germany with the help of some funders, Bayer Crop Science to be specific, and got our trainers trained from Germany, mobilized the girls, the first batch, and then trained them here. And the first time when we approached doctors to see how efficient are these girls, trained girls, not many doctors were forthcoming to bring such a huge change in their whole pedagogy in India. But there were one or two doctors who were totally stoked, and Dr. Mandeep Malhotra, in fact, helped us so much to bring this to the fore. And he was so passionate about this. He said, this is the way to go. This is a natural way of checking a woman. Any woman hates to go to mammography because it's a painful exercise to get checked. But this is so good. You are not exposing yourself to laser or any radiation, and and any age group can get themselves checked. And it's a USP that they're blind because their tactile sense works much better than any of us.
Yes.
And then when we started sending interns to hospitals, we sent interns to Tata also in Mumbai, which is a very known hospital for cancer.
Yes.
The Tata people themselves started doing some research with their checkups. And when I went back to them after the internship, they themselves showed me a research which they did. And they said our doctors had 8 errors out of 58 women checked. And your girls found out those 8 women with cancers. Our doctors missed them. So Tata was the one who first time gave us so much hope, saying that this is the way to go. This is where this is what we must do across the country, and we started training with that hope. But a lot of blind girls still we keep looking for them because they are scared. I guess it is a very extensive course. It takes 6 months to train them, and then 3 months for the internship. And we train them in medical terminology and then in in breast cancer so thoroughly that they almost become nurses for breast cancer departments. And the doctors are very happy in the hospitals with whom they're working. And in Medanta, every woman who comes for an executive health check is sent to the blind MT to get a breast check.
Awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely.
This brings goosebumps. So the error
Absolutely.
is very, very less when this
It's
examination is
1%.
done by a blind girl, right?
1%. 1%. The research
Wow.
shows we did a research then in India because the doctors were not accepting it. And they said, you have to bring an Indian research for medical changes. And then Dr. Mandeep Malhotra headed the research. He is a breast cancer specialist. And the research was done on 1,350 women. Usually it's done only on 500. And the research shows very, very openly that with blind MTs, there is 1% error. With mammography, there was 8% error.
So my listeners, focus on this. If any person is going for their examination, medical examination for breast cancer or their breast screening, if it is done by a blind girl, then the error ratio is 1%, less than 1%. This is also published in Times of India, right?
Yeah. Times
Great.
of India, BBC articles, Indian Express now will bring it this Sunday. Lot of newspapers. And now you will read it in Reader's Digest in the next month. A lot of newspapers are coming back to us, and we will be on BBC Radio this Wednesday talking about it with UK doctors who are trying to explore whether this can be brought to UK or not.
How a hospital can join hands with you, Shalini ji?
So the hospitals are now responding. Initially, they have a resistance that they have to give a room, exclusively for this activity because it has to be done in a closed room. But initially, it might cost them, for first 2 months. But after that, it makes a total business sense also for the hospitals to run it because uh, all those women who are not coming in the fear of mammography to get themselves checked periodically will now come for the MTs to check them. And they will be able to have more women walking in, for a business sense. And for the general society, it saves us in time. I'm not saying they can cure the breast cancer for you, but they can find the first stage. zero point 0.5 centimeter, which is 5 millimeter of an abnormality, a blind woman can find for you. 5 millimeter is the back of a pen. That much. She's able to figure out for you with her tactile sense. And if you are identified and if you are able to find that small a lump, that is the first stage, and you can be fine with just medication. You will not have to go through so many surgeries and chemotherapies.
You can help any hospital to set up such kind of laboratory across the country, right?
They don't have to do anything, they just have to have a room. And my blind girl is efficient enough to handle everything on her own after that. She just needs a laptop and a table and chair.
So this is going to give lot of insight for every one of us today, Shalini ji, and
Absolutely.
I'm speechless because the kind of work you are doing is marvelous.
I'm
So
so thankful to life and people like you and my girls, mostly. You have to see when you come to the center how they run the Blind Bake Cafe beautifully. And the cafe goes full even in the heat right now because we have umbrellas out in the open. And people come to see how they cook. And we have a spa, a pain relieving therapy spa by blind women. We have a handicraft unit, which goes on many exhibitions every month, totally by blind women. We're going to have soon a call center with totally blind women there, and we have the Discovering Hands where they find out the earliest stage of breast cancer in any woman of any age.
how
So
about
there is so much that we
funding?
can do.
If someone is really interested to donate or contribute for this cause
Please
or your
donate.
center,
Please,
is there
please
is any
donate.
possibility? Is there is any doors open for this?
I'll tell you, absolutely. Please donate. Whoever is listening, we need funds because all these girls come from poor families and they're not able to pay for their trainings. And we require about 15,000 per month for every girl who's getting trained here because she stays here and there is healthy food and she's trained also. So you can go to our website, nabcenterforwomen.org, and there is a payment link there for donations. We have a Paytm also. You can Paytm us, and my number you can popularize for sure. If people want to reach out, please message me. I'm not able to pick up my phone all the time,
Would you mind
but
to read out that number for my listeners, Shalini?
sure. My number is 9811772499. Shalini Khanna. You can message me if you would like to donate to us, or you can go to our website, nabcenterforwomen.org, and go to the payment link and please donate to us.
And that is going to give a big life and also light to all those blind women in the country. And
Thank you so
Shalini
much.
ji, that all these things were never easy, right? How cooperative was your family?
Not initially. They could not fathom why this girl with a bright career is going to this very different path where she's not going to be able to earn. So initial years were tough. The family was very lost, and I had to live away from my family. But soon, when they started seeing me on TV or in newspapers, and they read, "Oh, this work is also of some good, and this is not just a hostel where blind girls stay. This is a life for them." They started definitely responding, getting warmer again, and I am thankful to my family, my mother, my brother, and his family, and now my husband, who I got married to very recently, who are amazingly there, and they really, really support me, and um, I think that is my emotional anchor. With support, I'm able to go further. Otherwise, it's very tiring.
Shalini ji, I have this question for all my guests uh, without any exception, and you cannot just go without answering this. See, if
Okay.
if you are given full powers to change
Mhm.
something in this country, what that would be?
Please give me those powers. I am going to make. By the way, I must share that today I take over as the chairperson for Skill Council for PWDs.
Wow.
And till now, their Excel sheets of training partners for visually impaired is the lowest in number. And I'm there for 2 years as a chairperson. I definitely want to fill up those numbers, make more trainings available in this country for blind women and men both. And I feel if the law can be more tight, can have more teeth for people with disabilities and especially blind women to go back to complain when they are rejected on the face from restaurants or from homes, the world is going to be a better place. The employers, if they can be open to just try job mapping, not even give me jobs for them, just get a job mapping done in your workplace where we will come and tell you what jobs blind people can do. There will be so many more opportunities opening up every day for them, and then life is not going to be any better or worse for them than the other people. They are very intelligent people, they are academically so well read, and in so many streams, blind people are actually so much better than sighted people also. So why not give that niche to your workforce and bring diversity in the real term?
My dear listeners, this is a wonderful lady, Shalini Khanna, today with us. And Shalini ji, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to host you on my
Thank you.
show. This is an eye opener episode to many of us, and heartfully, what I wish is expansion. I want NAB Center for Women expanding, to all the other states of this country, and to make your services available everywhere in this country.
Thank you, Suman. Amen. May God listen to you. And I definitely hope that we multiply in the terms of services, facilities, and awareness throughout the country. And thanks so much to you for coming up with these amazing questions for me to be able to answer them and also listen to my own words and maybe create another path for myself further.